Hey y'all, welcome back to another video, and today I have a rather special video for y'all. Today I'm going to be comparing and contrasting Sodor Simulator with Sodor Online, or Nowhere Railways with Locos Online. If you're, if you like the new name changes. So, alrighty, let's get to it. First of all, here is Tidmouth Sheds. This is what it looks like. Pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Yeah. Alrighty, y'all. So here is Knapford Station, or not Knapford Station, Tidmouth Sheds in Sodor Online / Locos Online. Not as detailed as in Sodor Online, I must say. Doesn't look as nice either, probably because of the lighting. The lighting is very different in this game. But yeah, there you have it. Okay, so here is Knapford Station. This is what it looks like. Pretty spacious, I'd say, and pretty detailed as well. I feel like I'm like in the CGI series when I'm in this. I really feel like I'm in an episode of CGI Thomas in like the later seasons CGI. So here's Knapford Station, of course. Oh yeah, it has that sign just like it does in. Of course, we never see the station at this angle from the TVS show, so this is kind of CGI, to be honest. It's not exactly CGI or TVS, but it is very distinctly, despite it having, not Crovan's Gate, Vigorstown, and the steam works and stuff like that, and I guess the Earlsdale Railway and Ducks Branch line being, different from isn't the model series. So, okay, so here is Tidmouth Station. This is where Thomas, Percy, and Toby are have their sheds at. This is where they make berth, and the Ducks Branch line is over that way, and then the coal mines are that way, and Knapford Station and all that is back over there that way. So, yeah. Here is Tidmouth Station. Again, it's less detailed. Here's the sheds, of course. I didn't run over here and Sodor Simulator. Probably should have. There's where. Oh, none of these houses have buffers. That's that's interesting. They have the house. I don't have this in Sodor Simulator. They didn't have the details in the. This would make a very good remake of. They did in Tom Toy's World. If any of y'all remember that, they had the details in the house, but not in the sequels of the Tom Toys. Okay. Anywho, yeah. So here is Tidmouth. There's Tidmouth Station for you. Alrighty, here's Crosby Station, as you can see. Kinda, it's Crosby Station. There's there's Ducks, the barber shop from a Close Shave. Duck crashed in. So, yeah, really not much to say. Here is Crosby Station, as you can see. Not much to say. Here is the barber shop. Oh, do they have details? No, they do not have details. So this is pretty nice. Yeah, again, not as detailed as it is in um, Sodor Simulator. Here's Wellsworth Station. This is Edward Station. This is where Edward's branch line starts and heads on over to the Brendam Docks, of course. It's also got a little line that leads to the Sodor Museum. And so yeah. Alright. Here is Wellsworth Station, or Edward Station, where Edward's branch line begins, and it goes, you know, that away. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Ooh. Actually, I think I like the yard layout of this better than I do in Sodor Simulator. It's a little funky in Sodor Simulator. So, yeah. The sheds are smaller in Sodor Simulator too. So. And so here we have Brendam Docks. It's very large, very... it's very detailed. I'd say the maps in general in Sodor Simulator are very detailed. There's Cranky right there. There's, you know, some boats over here, of course. And there's Brendam Docks west over there. And Brendam Station is over there, and that leads back to, you know, what's it called, Wellsworth and the main line and all that. So, yeah. And here we have Brendam Docks. Yeah, Sodor Simulator did it better, for sure. It's a lot bigger, a lot more detailed. You have boats here, though. You know, but Sodor Simulator, and they do look better. Actually, no, that's a pretty evenly matched there. Ooh, they don't have the little slope or the little thing here that connects with ships. Excuse me. Ooh, that's a big cruise liner. So yeah, I'd say in general the Brendam Docks are better. Ooh, they may have the Sodor China clay pits. They don't have those in Sodor Online or Sodor Simulator. I'm getting these confused because I'm saying them so much. The cruise ship over here is better than it is over there. More detail and it looks nicer. Here is Maron Station. Actually, really quite like Maron Station. I like the way that it curves with the line. It's very nice. Very detailed. Yeah. Here we have Maron Station. I'd say it looks better in Sodor Simulator. More detail. So, yeah, but again, I do like the way that Maron curves with the main line. It's rather nice detail. Alright, so here is Gordon's Hill. This is very CGI. It's just one slope up, one slope down. No, sort of, the top of the hill doesn't have any large amount of, you know, track distance that levels. It doesn't level out any at the top. So, you know, whereas, you know, in the CGI and the Railway series, it does do that. Here on the CGI, this is a very distinct CGI feature of Sodor Simulator. Just, you know, how you can tell it's very, you know, CGI. So, yep. And here's Gordon's Hill. As you can see, it's a lot closer to the station than it is than it is in Sodor Simulator. And it levels out more on the top of the hill, which is uncharacteristic of the CGI, but more characteristic of the model series. So, also, there's Elfstead Castle up there. I didn't realize how close it was to Gordon's Hill. Here is Killdane, of course. It's pretty spacious, actually. The yard is, anyways. Then you got Killdane Town, the standing stones over there. And then of course that away you have the Peel Goddard branch line, which leads to the smelter's yard. And then, of course, that away leads to the rest of the main line, which is not much left because Sodor Simulator's map isn't finished. So yes. Here is Killdane Station. It's quite unremarkable compared to it is in Sodor Simulator. I don't see Killdane Town anywhere, or the standing stones for that matter. Of course, it might be out of my render distance, I'm not sure, but I don't see it. There's also no sheds, because you can spawn engines. Actually, you can probably spawn engines here too, but there's no sheds here, so it's like, meh. So yes. Here is Kellsthorpe Road, as you can see. Again, very detailed, very CGI-like. Whenever you see it in the CGI series, it's very dog. So yes, very nice. Actually, quite like. Yeah, in some cases, the map is in this game is better than it is in Sodor Online. However, there is more of it, so I'm afraid they'll probably get most of they've got most of the better map qualities. So yeah. Here is Kellsthorpe Road. It looks pretty good. I'd say Kellsthorpe Road in general looks pretty good. But I'd say it still looks better in Sodor Simulator. But yeah, this is looking pretty nice. Pretty detailed. Oh, I can't sit down. Wonder why. Here's a little bridge thing, or oh, what's the word? I don't know the word, never mind. Here we have Crovan's Gate, of course. The narrow gauge engines do not exist as of yet in Sodor Simulator. I hope they will soon, as I'm sure all of you do as well. However, they do exist in Sodor Online, so pretty sure they get Crovan's Gate for they already have the narrow gauge engines and such, so they probably get Crovan's Gate for in the comparison. So I guess it's not necessarily a competition, but I personally like. I mean, the way it looks, I like it better in Sodor Simulator, but in Sodor Online, I'd say I like I like the fact that they actually have the narrow gauge engines, which is kind of the main purpose. It's the guaranteed connection between the Sodor, the Northwestern Railway, and the Skarloey Railway. So yeah. Here is Crovan's Gate. However, the station itself I'm sorry, I'm Englishing wrong today. Does not look as nice in Sodor Online as it does in Sodor Simulator. However, they have the narrow gauge engines in this game, so that kind of overrides however nice the station may or may not look in this game. So Okay, so here we have the stock standard variant of Thomas. This is the regular version, it's not the classic one. You can tell because of the bolts and rivets, as you can see on his smoke box and his boiler. So this is very detailed. There's the definitive variant. This is very detailed model. I'd say, to be honest, in general, the models in Sodor Simulator / Nowhere Railways are, in fact, better than they are in Sodor Online. They're more model-like in Sodor Online, but they're still good. But I'd say I like the models in this game better. So here we have Thomas, of course. Very model series-esque. I also would like to mention I like the way that they have the spawn things, like where they cause in Sodor Simulator they just have 2 guys, standing here, whereas there probably should be 3, and one of them's facing this way, the other's that way. Little off in my opinion. I personally like the way that you have them both set up and facing this way and one for each berth. However, I don't like how they're just sleepers, the way you spawn the engines and rolling stock. That's kind of weird, to be honest. So yeah, but anywho, so I'd say the spawning things and Sodor Simulator would have my vote, but anywho. So here we have the stock standard Edward, as you can see. This is the one with bolts and rivets. It's the regular one. This again very detailed. It's a spectacular model. The developers do a very good job with these models in this game. So very nice indeed. Okay, and so here we have Edward, and as characteristic of Sodor Online, there's not really any other separate Edward models. All the variants are within one model. You just come over here and change it. Are you kidding me? Don't I have that unlocked? Actually, no, you have to buy them. That's right. Forgot about that. Like in-game, not out of game. RWS, you say? It looks more like Boba. Okay, I think I've broken Edward due in part to the fact that Okay, there we go, it's fixed now. Posters, that's locked. Dusty, of course that is locked, good grief. Okay, so yeah, there's the skins, right? Yeah, I guess it's skins rather than variants. Anywho, yeah, very nice. Again, very model series-esque. Which I guess I do like the model series better, but I don't know. There are games that are on Roblox that are solely dedicated to the model series. And their models are better than this, I'm afraid. I'm not saying these are bad, but they're just not my favorite. But this, y'all can make up your own opinions. Sorry. All right. So here we have Henry, as you can see. This is the regular version. Yeah, one thing about the Henry model, and this goes for the TV show in general, I don't like this huge amount of space under his cab where it's just hanging off the main drive wheels. I don't like it. I get, accurate real configuration of the Black 5, but the Black 5 doesn't have this huge gaping area where there's just not a void there, and it's just hanging off. I don't appreciate that. The definitive version of Henry fixes this, but it's still, you know, whoops, I've popped out. Sorry, the overlays are kind of annoying me. So yes, yeah, there's that. I'd say probably because the model in Sodor Online is smaller. You know, it's smaller. It might be slightly better, but again, it just kind of annoys me. So, alright, so here we have Henry, of course. And it looks like he still has the gap characteristic of the everything else but the railway series. So, actually, maybe it's slightly less because it's less elevated off the ground, and like I said, the model is smaller. So maybe it's, you know, maybe it's a little less annoying to me, but it still bothers me quite a bit. So here we have Gordon. Very nice, very, very big and bold as he should be. He is, you know, the pride of the Northwestern Railway. He does not have as significant of a gap under his cab. There's just nothing there, like Henry. So, of course, he's never really had that problem. So yes. And he looks even better in his definitive version, of course. So, yeah. Alright, here we have Gordon, of course, as you can see. Very good. He's probably one of my more favorite looking engines and models in this game. He looks very nice. Of course, you know, he always looks very nice. A1 Pacifics always look very nice. Oh, I'm liking that the wheel is directly under the cab. It's not exactly under the cab in the stock standard variant in Sodor Simulator. So that's very nice. I like that. Very good, Sodor Online. And here we have James, the regular version, not the classic one, of course. Very nice. You got the shiny part, you know, the shiny gold stripes. Actually, these kind of, they're kind of, I don't know, it's more like, no, I guess it works. I'm probably overanalyzing it, to be honest, but, you know, I'm not sure how they look in Sodor Online. I can't remember exactly. They might look, the stripes might look mildly better, but it's whatever. So, yeah, very nice. I suppose we should also analyze the, you know, compare and contrast the facial expressions. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Here we go. Facial expressions, you know, you got that, and that. It's cheeky. Confused. Embarrassed. Furious. Happy. Neutral. Sad. Oh, the steam didn't work on that one. Smug. Bear. There's the smug face. Surprised. Wait, what is this one? Suspicious. And then there's tired, of course. Here's winking. I didn't know he had this. I thought only Thomas had this. And here's working hard, and he's got the rosy red cheeks aren't very defined in Sodor Simulator. I'd say they're more defined in Sodor Online, to be honest. So yeah, but there are in fact the facial expressions, and they may slightly differ. There may be more or less. This guy's role playing. There may be more or less facial expressions among the various characters in Sodor Online and in Sodor Simulator, and I meant Sodor Simulator. They're pretty. I'd say they're pretty different. 'Cause they're more TVS-like in Sodor Online, but anywho, there you have it. Okay, and so here we have James, of course, and yeah, I'm thinking I'm actually liking James in here better than I do in Sodor Simulator. Well, mainly just the stripes and the dome. They seem to look better. They don't look like brass. They look like bright yellow as they should. I mean, the whistle, and the valve system, the valve stuff, and the window frames here should perhaps look, brass-like, but no, probably not the window linings, but at least the whistle and the valve should look brass-like, and I guess the dome as well, but the stripes, they should, this is nitpicky, to be honest, never mind. Okay, whatever, yeah, pretty good. And then, also, let's have a look at these facial expressions. Happy, smiling, joyful, smug, cheerful, asleep, shocked, surprised, worried, tired, sad, scared, unamused, angry, outraged, clenched. Okay, so a lot of these facial expressions look a lot like they do in the model series. I will say that. However, I think the facial expression system in general is more, I don't know, refined, I'd say, instead of just having this little menu pop out. It's it's still a menu that pops out. Well, it's also a lot slower, though. That's true. It is quite a lot slower. But anywho, so here we have the stock standard Percy. Again, this is the classic. This isn't the classic variant. It's just the regular one that you get when you get into the game first. Very nice, very detailed. Unnecessary bolts and rivets, of course, as characteristic of the Boaba era. Very nice, very nice. I also think the way that you control the eyes in this game is better than it is in Sodor Online. So, here we have Percy. This is the stock standard, of course. There's the variants you can scroll through in this game. Have separate models. So, However, some of these are off limits due to the fact that you have to buy them, or perhaps you have to buy them in-game, but I think you have to buy the Game Pass, unfortunately. I wish they hadn't changed that, but oh well, too late. So here we have the stock standard Toby. This isn't the classic variant or the definitive variant. The problem that I have with Toby and Sodor Simulator is that his wood looks glossy and it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like wood. It looks like, you know, the other engines. And I really think they should fix that. It looks fine on the definitive variant. It looks like wood. It's not shiny like this and glossy like a metal. So, yeah, that kind of bothers me with the regular Toby and Sodor Simulator. So they definitely have that better in Sodor Online. It's not glossy like this. So, yeah. Here we have Toby. The model for Toby in this game is a significant improvement to how it is in Sodor Simulator, unless if you're talking about the definitive variant. So, but I'd say Sodor Online has got Toby done pretty good. I'd say he looks pretty good. I'd say so. I'd like to thank y'all so much for watching this video. I really hope y'all enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section down below what you prefer, location-wise and engine-wise in each game. And I'll also be putting the link for my Discord server in the description down below. And yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed this video. And I hope you'll have a phenomenal day. Bye-bye!